Hello and welcome to Carrot and Sticks. Um, so today they released Ogre Kingdom's campaign mechanics. I was not expecting this. I thought it was going to come out tomorrow, where we were going to get some Ogre Kingdom stuff because they released the trailer yesterday. But I was wrong. We get it today. So they're just talking about here about like how they're a fully fledged race, free, for early adopters. So yeah, and they will be a DLC probably after. So okay, and the two lords is Garrus Goldtooth and Scrag the Slaughterer. So yeah, those are the two legendary lords. Later on, we're probably gonna get more. So let's start off with camps. Camps are major settlements. As you can see here, they act as almost like Chaos Warriors camps with their lords, but these are actually separate. You can set them up in any location, and they act as major settlements for the faction. Any captured or colonized settlements are minor settlements with 4 building slots and a max rank of 3. So no matter what place you colonize a settlement, say you colonize Altworth, it's going to be max rank 3 and have 4 building slots. So camps are your major settlements and you can set them up. You are limited though by technology. So you unlock your first camp is an initial tech for the race. So unlocking your first camp will be your first tech. So makes sense. And new buildings require population surplus to create, and similar to a horde. And if the garrison is defeated, the camp is destroyed. So what I'm feeling this is probably going to be more like is the herd stones. Instead of it taking actual settlements, you can place this anywhere and it's going to have a certain amount of garrison. That's what I'm thinking of. So it's probably going to have a 20-man garrison, maybe. However, as well as providing high tier units and buildings, there are some massive benefits to camps when they are deployed in the territory and any distance from your lands, so long as your army can get there. So basically, they can be deployed anywhere, like I said before. The garrison inside will automatically be raiding the province it's in every turn, generating additional income. This garrison can be reinforced by trading units to and from it with an army or recruiting directly into the camp. So it sounds like it's an actual army. Okay. Is it an actual army? Huh. This is interesting. I didn't see that initially. I mean, you have to properly have properly massive and powerful raiding army that is well defended with in a pseudo settlement that must be sieged to be destroyed. Sieged. Does that mean we get walls as ogres? CA, be a little bit more clear on your blogs, because you just having these words doesn't help. Sieging means there's walls. If it doesn't have walls, it's not considered sieging. It can also provide units to passing armies, giving you refuel and upgrade station to your forces when they don't have time to recruit themselves. Camps can also exert a sphere of influence of decent size on the campaign map, and any armies within that area will receive various bonus, as well as being able to use local recruitment. Various buildings inside the camp will also affect within this area influence, letting it provide additional replenishment, extra meat, see below. or other benefits. Naturally, this makes placement vital to consider. You can place it on the edge of your territory or in the center of enemy provinces. The more fighting within the range, the better. That may be true, may not be true. We'll see. For other forces, ogre camps represent a place to bring ogre talents aboard. Any army that is near the ogre camp and is now at war with the owner can hire ogre bulls. Blah, 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 ogre bulls as mercenaries. Is that what we have already? Is the ogre bulls? Or is that actually a unit? Of note is that the non-recruitment buildings and camps also provide some pretty hefty upgrades. Loot piles give obnoxious amount of gold per turn, while there are options for massively reduced upkeep for the units inside. There's also possibilities of huge increases of local capacities, global effects, profitable ventures. Unknown regions is valuable, but multiple large camps will render your forces to be reckoned with. So, alright. This is what we would be looking at for a camp. So, it looks like we buy... Oh, this is interesting. This is very interesting. I want to note here right now, we're looking at this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 buildings in here. And this costs 1 food, and this costs 1 food. That is massively different amongst many factions that have a growth mechanic and you need to have pop to build these buildings. These usually go up as you get more buildings. That is interesting. That is a good thing to note. So if you only need 1 pop to build all these buildings, maybe all these tier 1 buildings, I'm going to say it's going to be all these tier 1 buildings, then this is going to be 2, and these are going to be 3. It just makes sense. This is interesting. So you don't need a lot of growth. So this faction is probably really strong with these camps. And yeah, we can see here a couple of their units. Some of these look pretty cool. Looks like that's a mage probably, and that's a warlord. There's some other guys there. We get to see Flesh Bazaar. I don't know which tier that is. And I don't know which building that is. I'm guessing it's maybe that one. But we can't say for sure because it could be hidden behind. It could be either one of these. I'm just going to say it's probably that one. But the thing is that there's no indication or mouse over that is on any of these. But let's just look. Even if this was tier 1, upkeep minus 30% all units in camp, income from post-battle loot plus 35%, characters in circle of influence. So that's actually pretty good, considering. I'm just looking at these. These are interesting. Looks like this chain requires you to buy it. But that's in the defense, so that's not money right there. Money is probably right here. That might be Flesh Bazaar. That might be a tier 4 building. This right here. Flesh Bazaar. I'm hoping this is a higher tier than 1 because getting this much is a lot. Considering if you're thinking about the Warriors of Chaos upkeep, it's further on, or maybe even Norska or Beastmen. So this is interesting. Also seeing most of these units, we see that unit already. We've seen that unit already. So that's their tier 1 unit, and that's also a tier 1 unit. Actually, that's a tier 3 unit. Those ogres on the mounts. That's a tier 1 unit. It looks like there's the dual weapons ogres right here. That's a tier 2. And I'm not sure if those are the gun ones. I haven't seen them too much. So that could be tier 3. Okay, interesting. Or maybe that's them. I don't know, but I don't pay the... No, there's the unit card. Right there. It's a tier 5 unit. Those guys are considered tier 5? What the fuck? They're not tier 5. They act like a tier 3 unit. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to see. Kind of the big problem is that these are monster... They all are monstrous units, so it's gonna be interesting in seeing this. But... I'm actually kind of a little bit more interested because of, like, just the camps alone is an interesting aspect. Could be a boon, could be a flaw in them. I can't say it's either or. I say it's really nice down the middle. It's neither a carrot nor a stick. So it's both. It's really feels really good. So far from what we're reading. And the only thing I have to ask, which is the biggest thing, whether or not this is going to be a carrot or a stick, is can we pack up the camp and then move it somewhere else? Or do we have to rebuild a whole new camp? If we have to rebuild a whole new camp, that's going to, like, almost effectively neuter you as ogres. You're either going to be just having a camp in somewhere where you can just raid the shit out of. And that's it. You're not going expanding. You're not taking settlements. You're sacking. That's what I'm curious about. Now let's move on to... Funny enough, they don't talk about meats yet. Let's talk about contracts real quick. Straight up, these are just missions that you are given from other factions. They are legitly the missions you get already in game. Instead of them being more random, you get to actually choose and see them before you get them. So let's just look at these. You get Dark Land Orcs. Ooh, is that going to be a new orc faction? Cool. Western Provinces and Lizgars. So Darkland Orcs ask you to eliminate a character. Western Provinces ask you to capture and occupy following settlement. Taizu. Lagars ask you to eliminate the following character, Young Sun. And each one of them has a certain amount of gold, and you get plus 25 diplomatic relations with them. I feel as ogres, these diplomatic relations don't matter. You're probably looking at that big chunk right here. And also, this is the easiest one out of 3. Unless that's associated to a big, powerful faction, and that's why you get a lot of money. Don't know. So yeah, it's just basically pick your mission. Every 10 turns, you will be presented with 3 potential contracts, each for attacking cities, killing characters, destroying armies. So it's basically whatever the missions are given to you by a faction. Like me and a friend are playing Tomb King's missions, and he got like 3 missions from Cetra base to increase the diplomacy with him. And it was to like attack or raid a certain area of Cetra's enemies. This is just basically the same, except for you got more. You can choose your goal. So yeah. Okay, let's get to meat. Meat. We are gonna look at this a little bit later. So meat almost acts like Skaven food. I say almost because as every ogre army has a separate upkeep of meats as well as gold, the difference is here. The 1 unit equals 1 meat consumed. The meat each army has, and if it is increasing or decreasing, is tracked above the banner on the campaign map. In the same spot as any passive effects and if it's garrison or not. This upkeep is waived when within range of a friendly ogre camp. And as mentioned, there are plenty of camp buildings with interactions surrounding meat. Naturally, enemy armies can also be processed into meat. So here, this paragraph basically tells us it's like the food mechanic, but instead of it only counting for armies and cities, it is entirely counted towards each unit you have. And it's counted separately for each army, which makes an interesting take, but I don't know how this is exactly going to work. Do we have a bar at the very top that has our cumulative meat, or is it this army has this amount of meat, this army has this amount of meat, and the thing to which makes it a little bit this more of a stick than it is a carrot a little bit, so far we understand it, is that the upkeep is waived when you're in range of or camp. If I can't just pack up my camps and have to set up new ones, destroy and then set up new ones, that is going to be very interesting, because I feel like you're going to be sitting there late game a little bit, having to destroy a camp and then sitting your army there and literally sitting and waiting while you build this camp up so that it can protect itself. Just my opinion. I don't know whether or not how they're doing it. Also, you can spend meat on these abilities. They make it sound here that these abilities are army specific, not global specific. Like the Winds of Magic Reserve per +5 per turn. The global recruitment duration is probably only for that army. The campaign movement is only for that army. The melee attack is only for that army. So it's interesting. It's interesting that's 8 meat each for these, and the duration is 10. So the question is then, how much meat do we get per turn? If it's like Skaven, where we get, if we're raiding, we get 3 meat per turn, cool. But the thing is, it's like, it's a very much of unknown. It kind of becomes meaningless if you how much meat you get per turn, because the keep is waived when you near ogre camp when you're within range. But again, how does this meat actually work? We got almost nothing here, except for us telling us, if you have a 20-man stack, you're going to be consuming 20 meat. If you're not nearby, okay. So it's going to be interesting, for sure. This mechanic is interesting. I would say it's a little bit more of a stick, a little bit, because it's not like Skaven where you got one army or one settlement and that's one food. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm just gonna say it now. If you don't sack city, if you don't like doing a cheese or an actual tactic called sack sitting, where you just sack a city over and over and over again until you get like enough food. It's a Skaven tactic. You get enough food by sacking a city. You're probably gonna have a hard time with this. You might have a hard time with this. So let's move on. Big names. Just real quick, if you're skimming through this, this is just basically like vows, and I'll show it. These are just basically vows. Except for the thing is that you get 4 random vows. You have no control over these vows. Legendary lords have random ones too, and I don't know how I feel. Oh, never mind. Legendary lords actually have exactly 4 types of choices. not choices, but like 4 names. Um, but all the others have random names. So they don't make it exactly clear whether or not you only get one. Oh yeah, nope. Changing, you only can have one activated at a time. Changing primary titles can be done on a short cooldown, so mix and match as needed. So here you only can have one active at a time. Time feels lame actually. Here is 4 random ones that they generated, that they give us. I'm not gonna say that just in case. Grants that ability, which is a leadership debuff for all enemies nearby, which sounds good, but it's unlocked by it's a mystery. Meaning we don't know how it's unlocked. I mean, you probably, if CA is being silly, you might know, we might know how it's unlocked, but I don't know because I'm taking it for word. It's a mystery. They're not going to tell us how it's unlocked. Camp maker, deploy a camp. And with this character, you get +1 control to local province. I don't know why you would need control, considering camps seem like a better choice, and you probably want your area to be rebelling all the time, because you're probably not going to make money from the miners, actual settlements, because they're all considered minor. You want those camps. Boommaker. Unlocked by winning a battle with a unit of lead belchers in the army. +20 missile strength for various range units. That could be very good, depending on their units. Ken Eater. Unlocked by losing in a battle but killing more enemies than your opponent. Passive ability Ken Eater, which gives unbreakable to this lord as long as they have over half HP. Don't know how I feel about that. This feels really bad. And then we get to see 4 more. 4 more. Let me just get there. There. Hopefully you guys can see. So Big Bellower, we don't know what unlocks it. But it gives in an area +8 leadership. Enabled it out of melee. So this lord is going to probably be hanging back a little bit more. It says a hunter, so there might be a ranged lord, but we'll see. Rat Killer. Win a battle against Skaven, and you will get +12 melee attack when it gets Skaven. I don't feel like this is really good, but oh well. Lose a battle and survive. Passive ability, Death Cheater. Interesting ability. I wonder what that is, actually. Win 5 battles with 5 Noblar units in your army. Attribute, unbreakable for Noblar units. All units in the army. So, maybe it a bit like you get some good abilities here. The question is, though, how many of these are being drawn from? Oh, look here. It looks like it takes 7 turns before you can switch. But, oh yeah, it has missile strength. Yep, actually, this won't be too bad because of you got a missile unit. But I don't know how good this is gonna be. You might get a lord who's just garbage because of what he rolled with big names. Which I kind of don't like, that you get random ones and you don't get all these unlocked, but what do you have? What choice do we have? Just looking at the abilities here, looks like they have a couple abilities right there. This lord is level 3, so I'm guessing most of these abilities are initial. So it looks like they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think these are passive. These have to be passive because they're before missile resistance, right? Well, we'll see. They also have some battle effects. But these big names are interesting. Yeah. I mean, a couple of these, like the leadership debuff, um, plus 20% missile strength for various range units. This I don't consider interesting. Um, this is alright. Like, if it has like a couple of like actually good ones and then like one bad one and a moderate one, I'll be fine with it. I'll be fine. This can be. This is more like in between. Also, this is also in between right now. It's of a carrot and a stick. So yeah, I don't have to say it. It's the I've just been talking about it. Like you could get bad rolls on these, or you can get good rolls. Who knows? We'll see. Tech tree. So they say the research is mostly theft, coming up with ways to eat in more charge, blah 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 blah. Basically, this is all flavor text. Not saying like much, but what says much is actually taking a look at this texture. So we see Camp Huddle, and then there's Ogre Throng, which is the one we see. I just like to point out, we went through this tree, and this is the second part. This is only like about a third. I want to say like almost. It's just above a third of the tech tree. But if you get Ogre Throng, you get population surplus +1 for newly developed camps, +1 camp limit, and army ability Butcher all armies. Which you replenish HP of your your units for duration of 18 seconds, cooldowns 120 seconds. So this just constantly goes. Heal per second 1.6%. So 1.6 of your HP is healed, and you lose minus 25% of your vigor per second for 18 seconds. That is really good. I would say that's 16. That's probably almost 20% HP for this going out. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. If you, I don't say it. That's actually really good, and they just get it. Another thing I want to point out: 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns. The only one that's 6 turns is that one that we see. Is big attempts. That's 4 turns. Most likely these are all 4 turns. That's probably 4 turns. Like all the research done is probably 4 turns. These guys have a far easier time on research tree than a couple of the people we've seen already. I'm going to say this is a carrot. This research tree is majorly a carrot. They have so many 4 turns. And they're only at 100% research rate. That is really good for 100% research rate. Having 4 turns this far into the tree, oh boy, you're gonna get like you can easily get all of these before turn 100, or even turn 50. You can get a lot of these. You just rush Ogre Throng, and then you grab everything you want, and you probably get some good ones. But yeah, jeez. I would say this is more of a carrot than it is a stick for ogres. The only thing that makes it a little bit of a stick is meat along with the camps. You having to sit your butt down somewhere with a camp. If you can't just pick it up and move it, that's gonna be a problem. So yeah, that's been me. This has been fair. I feel like this is fairly quick. This seems good. It makes me actually. I'm actually finally excited for Ogre Kingdoms. It sounds like really a lot of fun. You get to make settlements where you want them to be. Um, I'm not too sure about these units too much. I know monsters infantry are good, but how good? We'll see. They are changing the difficulty increases. I feel like Ogre Kingdoms are gonna be our tester in that, um, showing you the actual difference. Because if you play on very hard battle difficulty when they come out for it in 2, and then play them in 3, and see that you will probably see a 9-day difference between, like, some of these units are gonna be good compared to when they are in 2. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure if these are deconstruction or if they're building. But it looks like everything has like a 1 churn. Wait, is that the Flesh Bazaar? That might be the Flesh Bazaar. So at tier 5, it's -30 and +35. I'm guessing that's what that is. Because we're seeing the money. So, yeah, interesting. That is in defense, interestingly enough. So yeah, this has been me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.